Hey guys, what's going on? Another episode here for the Avant foot. You see it's already assembled, but I'm going to take you through what everything I've done to the car, step by step kind of thing. It's going to be a long episode, so strap in and get some popcorn or something. So upon reassembly, I had to start with obviously the back kind of where all the ECU stuff was. I wanted to put the wiper arm assembly back in, then rebuilt back in, button up all that stuff into the little false firewall area there. Then did the cabin air filter, box and assembly and air filter. Then did the motor mounts, nice and easy access when you don't have a turbo sitting there. So that was a quick and easy install. I didn't tighten the lower nut yet until I usually wait until I start the car. Then put on a brand new snub mount, OEM squishiness. Resurface the block side of the head. Put the head on. Put some head bolts in. Check your torque sequencing and fastening pattern when you're putting in new head bolts. Got to use new head bolts because they're torque to yield. Put in a new cam seal in the front and start putting on some accessories. Don't forget your sealant in all your corners before you put your valve cover on, and I like to torque these down as well, just because a lot of guys have issues with these leaking afterwards, and there's a specific pattern you want to do, which is inside and out, crisscross pattern. Double check your timing, make sure nothing's binding, go around a couple times, and then button it all together. I won't bore you guys with all the wiring, that hoses that you need to sort and route out, but putting on the intake manifold is definitely a milestone. I like to torque the intake manifold down as well. Popped in the fuel injectors, do the wiring harness. Get some of the coolant piping in, the KO3, putting this in is nice and easy when you've got full access to the front. Make sure you have your KO3 support, your turbo support, all your lines. Put your airbox in, all your intake piping and everything. Super easy with no front bumper on. Here's my little SAI block off plate for the airbox. Just something homemade, and now you're ready to put the front carrier on. Alright guys, here's a quick little summary of what's going on in the back here. I left the pads, they're in good shape. As part of the Sean Huffman Parts loyalty program, he will exchange your scuzzy old rotors in exchange for some nice machined ones. So I've got some turned over rotors for all four corners. I redid the rear axle output seals to the diff. They're both leaking. One thing to kind of mention is that, you know, it was leaking pretty bad, and if you're going into that level of replacing it, do the best you can to clean everything around it before you go ahead pull the seals out. That way, when you do put the new one in, it's kind of a cleaner area to work in, and also in future leaks, it's going to be much easier to spot. Even if you're just crawling under the car, you'll see that there's something leaking there versus looking at an old leak and whether it's new or old. It just makes things a little bit simpler. So I hauled out the coilovers in the back. I popped in some S4 rear springs. The upper strut mounts I also replaced, just with some good used ones. I don't know what happens, that just corrodes and delaminates so badly. And then, oh yeah, I also had to, as I was replacing the sway bar bushings and end links, one of the end link bolts snapped in the lower control arm here, and I tried to get it out with some heat afterwards. I started drilling it out, and then I snapped a drill bit into it, and then I lost it. And this is all while it was under the car, before I'd even taken it out. So then I just ended up finding, or again, SeanHoffmanParts.com, ended up using I found a good used one and slammed that in. So that's all good. I've got all the end links, everything's torqued down. The struts are just some used struts, and that's it. I'm gonna slam the wheel back on, and I'm finally done with the rear end. So I skipped out to the junkyard with the old man, and we happened to stumble across a B7 tan console. So I decided to slip this in for my brother, because the cup holder upgrade is fantastic. I don't know why it was never thought of in the B6s, but chucking out the old, moving in with the new. Shifter boot was torn, and the knob was pretty well faded, so I replaced the boot, dyed the knob, and replaced the bezel with some aluminum bezel, so looks a lot cleaner now. The tint on the front two windows were peeling pretty bad, so I found some good used parts. Hey guys, here we are, just dropping off the wagon to the new owner. There he is in the background. He's happy as he can ever be. Alright, yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching the Audi Avant flip episodes.